Thank you so much for taking the time to come to this presentation. So today we're going to be talking about the image repair theory and how it exactly applied to the Target data breach that occurred in 2013. So in the event that someone has something that occurs and basically their reputation is at stake, or how they're perceived in the audience and the public eye, and we can apply the image repair theory to that. So here are some of the key assumptions that have to be kept in mind when you're trying to figure out, okay, is this something that the image repair theory can be applied to or not? Some of those key assumptions are communication is best conceptualized as a goal-directed activity. So you have to make sure that there's a goal that needs to be met and how we're exactly going to be able to do that. And then also maintaining a positive reputation is one of the central goals of communication. So also knowing, okay, is there an act that has occurred and it's undesirable, and then also the responsibility that the company played in that. So let's paint a little picture, okay? Let's say that you are a mom, you're going to pick up some things for your family on your way home from work, and it's right around the holiday season, so you decide, okay, this skateboard for my son, or this doll for my daughter, or maybe this TV for the living room. So you go into the store, you pick those things up, and while you're there, you go ahead and grab some groceries as well. A few weeks later, you find out that there was some type of data breach and that all of your credit card information could have possibly fallen in the hands of someone that absolutely had no business being in the hands of. Well, that was the reality of Target back in 2013. They were now the person that had affected over 70 million customers with their information being hacked. Let's just talk a little bit about how that occurred. This is just a snippet of what the textbook allows us to know about strategies that apply to the image repair theory. So once we continue talking, you'll see exactly which pieces of these applied to the Target case. Whether it was denial, someone in leadership saying, we simply had nothing to do with this, this just something occurred and there's nothing we could have done about it. Or maybe even minimizing it, saying, okay, well yeah, some people, a good million or so people had their information hacked, but at least it wasn't all of our customers that was affected by this. So as we go through here, we'll be able to see exactly how Target used this information to apply it to what occurred in their situation. So here is a brief timeline. I wanted to deliver it in this manner to see how things unfolded throughout the process of this data breach happening. There was someone that worked for the company in another country that notified the corporate office here in the States saying there may be someone hacking in, trying to hack in at least. And it was just kind of overlooked. Then maybe a couple weeks later it occurred again. Hey, corporate office, we've seen that there's another notification of someone trying to hack the information. It was swept under the rug again. And then here we are during this time span of November 27th through December 15th of all this information completely being stolen from the Target systems. Once the leadership realized what was going on at the end of that December 15th time period, they realized on December 20th what was going on, and they actually decided to announce it to the public. So there was a brief couple of days there between when they decided to inform their customers. So if you are the customer and you're hearing, okay, my information is being taken and I don't know what's going on, you have to consider as the organization, how soon do you think your customer needs to hear what's going on with their information? And then you also have to realize, okay, well, what is our number one goal as the organization as well? So you have those two goals of trying to cater to your customer and your client, and then also worrying about your organization as a whole and where it stands. So as you just see, there are just a couple of days of delay as far as the conference calls, and then January 10th, Target notifying it that there was an additional 70 million customers where their information had been stolen, including their emails. And then January 22nd, they decided they were going to lay off 475 employees. April 30th, they finally determined that there was going to be a commitment of $100 million to update technology and just different ways to prevent this in the future. Because I'm sure that was one of the main things, okay, well, this has happened, but what are we going to do to make sure that this never happens again? Because after this, we need to figure out a way to repair the reputation of this company to the public. You see, by May 5th, the previous CEO had resigned, and then there was a new CEO that was then put in place just because of this whole incident happening under his leadership. So I wanted to take a look to see exactly some of the social media posts that Target made in response in reference to this. These are some of the tweets that Target released. The first one says, we're listening to tweets about the data breach in our U.S. stores and have 6 answers to questions. I found that to be kind of interesting just because of the simple fact that if you have millions of people contacting you saying, hey, I need to know what's going on, my money, my information, my identity, what is going on, and then you respond saying that you only have 6 answers to questions, that can be pretty troublesome. And since I know that you all are in the communications and public relations arena, you understand how important that is to make sure that whatever the information is that you're trying to relate to the customer and the client, it has to be something that at least makes them feel as though you truly care, put them at ease, and let them know that you're working towards a solution for them. And then they also offered a step-by-step guide to set up a red card alert and monitor your account. And also that they're working to continue to improve their call centers, and they've tripled their call center support, which is pretty helpful. That's good. We like to see that they are working towards, okay, we're trying to filter in these calls that you're giving us and find the best way to help you out in your situations. Well, next I want to share one of the interviews that the CEO at that time shared and had.
Then there's Target. It's still suffering from one of the biggest security breaches in retail history. And now the company's CEO is apologizing to customers for the cyber attack on their credit and debit card information as he tries to reassure shoppers that it's safe to come back to his stores. Becky Quick has more.
This is the first time that Target's CEO, Greg Steinhafel, has spoken publicly about the breach that, at the high end of estimates, affected as much as a third of the American population. His tone was one of contrition and apology.
I found out on Sunday. Sunday was really day one. It was in the morning.
Sunday, what was the day?
Sunday, December 15th.
Okay.
And that was the day that we confirmed that we had an issue. And so our number one priority was do the right thing for the guest. So it was about making our environment safe and secure. We worked very hard on that, and by 6 o'clock at night, our environment was safe and secure. We eliminated the malware and the access points, so we were very confident that coming into Monday, guests could come to Target and shop with confidence with no risk. Monday was about, or day 2 was really about initiating the investigation work, the forensic work. We initiated that moved in, that has been ongoing. Day 3 was about preparation. We wanted to make sure our stores and our call centers could be as prepared as possible. And day 4 was notification. So throughout that 4-day process, some people probably felt longer than that, we worked around the clock to try and do the right thing. It's very challenging times for Target. I can tell you that it's a real punch in the gut. But throughout this entire crisis, we've had a singular focus on really doing the right thing by the guest. I mean, we're a company that has been here for 51 years, and we've focused on the guest, and we've made the guest our priority for that entire time. So we know that our guest trust in us is shaken, but we also know they love our stores, they love our brand, and we're going to learn from this experience and work really hard to become even a better retailer over time.
The big question is when shoppers will feel safe coming back into the stores. Greg Steinhafel says that as of Friday, shopping trends were almost back to normal. But of course, that was before the latest admission that personal information for up to 70 million shoppers was also compromised. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Becky Quick.
All right, so see that video there. And you remember when I showed that slide saying, okay, these are some of the strategies that can be included in the image repair theory? Well, we can see that his first step was to apologize to the customers about what occurred. And that was helpful. You know, I think it's very important for him to apologize and say, okay, yes, we understand that this happened and this happened on our watch, and we apologize, and we're working to figure out ways to help you all out with that. And something else that they didn't mention in the video, the CEO, Greg Steinhafel, offered compensation to the customers as well. But it was in the sense of 10% discount to those that may have been affected by it. It was important that he acknowledged what happened and what transpired in that 3-day period between when he first found out what occurred and when they actually decided to notify the public. But I think it also is pretty important to let people know, hey, this is what we're working on at this specific moment during this crisis. Yes, I know that y'all are wanting answers, but we're working at this piece right now. We'll keep you updated as further developments occur. Those are some of the things that I take away from this piece of it. And as you see in front of you, I offered the letter that Greg offered the customers. And so if you read through it, it just talks about, you know, how long Target has been a part of the community and some of the things that they're doing to help through this trying time, whether that is some of the key facts as far as when the breach occurred, or what you actually should be leery of, or what you should expect as far as your information being taken. And then also, he did state that you will not be responsible for fraudulent charges. Either your bank or Target has the responsibility. So that's important as well, okay, to help the customers know that they are not going to be liable to pay these fees or whatever the case might be. And he did on the website list additional information, more in-depth information. So this is something like a synopsis for those that just want some quick information, and then they can scroll down to see more of the details as well. So I thought that that was helpful. All right, so now that we have been able to see exactly what occurred in this Target data breach, we are able to see some of the key takeaways as far as what could have been different during the situation, as far as the response rates to the customers, or some of the things that they could have, strategies they could have used during this process, what their main goals were, letting those be known for both the customers and the organization, and seeing exactly how that might have played out as far as firing the over 400 employees during this crisis. How does that look for the customer standpoint as well? And just letting people know what exactly is going on. The 6 responses via the tweet. These are the things you have to keep in mind when you're applying the image repair theory, and just as from a organization to a customer standpoint. You have to be mindful of all the avenues and arenas that might come into play as you're sifting through the crisis and understanding, okay, this is the team that we have. We have these people that are going to have these conference calls. We have these people that are going to do these interviews. We also have these people that are going to answer those calls when customers call and trying to see what's going on with their information, who's going to be on social media, who's going to talk to the media. All these things are extremely important to know that this is your position, this is your job when this crisis occurs, and to stay in that lane and to not veer to a different avenue. I thank you all so much for listening and taking the time to hear about this Target data breach that occurred in 2013 and seeing exactly how the image repair theory can be applied.